All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to, the world of commissioner and what it means to be a part of commissioner culture. And when I say culture, I mean that because commissioner, it's not a fashion brand. It's not just a footwear brand. It's a lifestyle. One of the biggest pillars and our motivating factors for naming our brand as commissioner is David Stern. David Stern, we look at him as a trailblazer, a visionary. Somebody that took the NBA from a struggling league to a multi-billion-dollar industry that it is today. That has some of our greatest movers and shakers and leaders in the league today, a part of pop culture. You can't deny it. So when our consumer and our supporters are rocking with commissioner, we want them to feel like that, a commissioner. We want them to feel like that rose that grew from concrete. So I'm gonna dive into a little bit more of the brand ethos and the history of, what led us to commissioner. So the NBA, Pacers versus Pistons, Malice at the Palace. If you're not familiar, pull up the YouTube and catch that energy. But it's an infamous moment. It shifted everything. Prior to the 2005 season, David Stern implemented the NBA dress code. So we fast forward to what we at present day. We have NBA players at New York Fashion Weeks sitting next to Anna Wintour. That's a regular thing. But see, back then, you didn't see that. And this direct moment of David Stern implementing the NBA dress code put that into motion. So fast forward to 2014, rest in peace, David Stern passed away. We thank him for everything that he accomplished. We get the present times, and like I said, Stern is credited for the elevation in menswear, the NBA's fashion influence. You can't deny it, it's everywhere. The present day, 2019, Commissioner is founded. And today we're about to dive into our product, the Commissioner DS1. So, when I say lifestyle brand, that's easy to say. But what we providing to make sure that y'all feel it's a lifestyle brand, well, of course, we provide fashion value. When you rock with commissioner, you're going to always know we're not going to skimp on quality materials. We're not going to skimp on what's popular and what's going on. We setting trends. We're going to always put our effort into putting out the best product, the best fashionable, best looking, best functional product. We're always going to be a part of the community because we never left the community, all of us, where that's from doing pop-ups at local basketball courts in different cities to hosting a charity basketball game, lacing everybody with commissioner. And then we got value-added services like our app, the Players Union, that we're going to dive into a little bit more towards the end of the presentation. Where we're setting up our consumers with an exclusive, intimate experience with us, being able to get product early and being able to be on top of their game. The story and experience. I just dove into the story for y'all. It's strong. We want everybody who rocking with commissioner to always build back on, man, these guys never switched it up. They always stood to their story and stood on what they mean. Multifunctional use. See this DS1? You could rock it up to 4 ways and 6 if you really want to get funky with it. So we always going to get a consumer something different, something that they can always stand out. They can always feel like a commissioner. So I'm going to pass it to Kevin and he's going to dive into the product brief for y'all.
Right on, Kel. So I want to introduce you all to the Commissioner David Stern 1. The DS1 is a hybrid model, meaning that it blends elements of both lifestyle and basketball influence. And now we really set out to provide a unique experience each and every time the consumer interacts with the product. So we opted for premium materials like leather, suede, organic cotton, as well as our elevated collectible packaging. And you'll get a sneak peek at the packaging in just a bit. But really, the true value comes in that there are absolutely no trade-offs when it comes to aesthetics, performance, and comfort. So that means the DS1 is going to look great, it's going to feel great, and it's going to turn heads whether you're on or off the court. Excuse me. And now jumping into some of those value-added services Kel touched on earlier, beginning with authentication. Authentication is going to be a huge factor for us and for our consumer. So we'll have anti-counterfeit finishing that takes place in-house at our DC using RFID technology. And we'll also have white glove packaging and final inspection done in-house to ensure that our consumer is receiving the highest quality experience every time they interact with the brand and with our product. And then lastly, we want to build a community through providing consumer experiences, unique consumer experiences, events, and then exclusive access to the brand and the product through our Players Union Club. And I really want to emphasize that that aspect of community for the Commissioner brand. It's even in our mission statement. Our mission is to elevate the fashion value of basketball culture through exclusive experiences for the community, by the community. And we really emphasize that last point because we are a part of that community, and we feel like our consumers are a part of our community, and we want to bring them along with us on this journey from day one. And jumping into our merch strategy, we'll have extremely limited product runs. I'm talking 25,000 units per launch maximum. And we really want to drive demand through this idea of exclusivity. We'll be direct to consumer through our website, and we're really going to push on that aspect of storytelling and those value added services because we feel like those are two pillars that our brand stands upon. And then lastly, we want to leverage our relationships with our influencers, with our athletes, as well as our collaborators in the fashion and streetwear space. And now I'll kick it to Martin, who's going to tell you about the resale market.
Yeah, so for those who don't know what the resale market is, it's pretty much a secondary market where consumers go to pretty much buy and sell sneakers that they couldn't get at retail price. And over the last few years, it's become a $4 billion industry. And it's also become something that's influenced fashion, what's in for fashion and streetwear right now. And right now you could see like a lot of brands have popped up within the last few years as well, with StockX and Go kind of leading the charge. But we also see some established brands coming in, like eBay jumping into the market as well. And for us, we really want to utilize this resale market to build brand awareness and increase our clientele, and also just, bring like the hype and exclusivity of our brand to like the market. And I'm gonna pass it over to Kale. He'll get more into what our target consumer is.
All right, so our target consumer is males, ages 25 to 35. This is somebody who purchases a sneaker monthly. This is somebody who is on it, checking the blogs every day, always trying to get fresh, always trying to maintain this image, keep it up. Somebody makes 65K and up yearly, got a secondary source of income, could be a reseller, somebody big on that market, always trying to make a change, influencer, on the social media platform. It's also somebody who's very into photography, sports, fashion, somebody who's a hoop fan, an NBA fan, somebody just like to pick them up and lace them up whenever. But when they're not hooping, they also like to look great, and they like to, show that. So this is somebody very active on social media, somebody with a great big following, that can influence a lot of people. So I'm gonna pass it to Timmy, who's gonna dive into our competitive landscape.
Well, thanks, guys. I will take it home from here. So as you can kind of see where Commissioner is positioned, kind of group the Jordan and Nike brands, which come at like a lower price point, averaging about like 160 to 200. And that's specifically like in the basketball segment, up to Louis Vuitton, which is more so of a representation of higher fashion brands that we see as a competitor as well. And we kind of have a sweet spot in terms of like the quality being, super exceptional up there with those of fashion houses, at the same time maintaining a pretty nominal price point at $350, especially within the market that we're going after and understand there. But this is just, kind of a 10,000 foot view of where we see ourselves fitting in. I'm sure, we've talked a lot about the product. We've talked about the brand itself, and it's like, how are we going to deliver this, within the market? So we have a very detailed, structured marketing plan. As you see on your left side of the screen, you're going to see more stuff that's related to product activations. On the right side, more so brand growth, strategies and tactics. And essentially, there's a few of these that are super important to our initial go-to-market launch. Specifically, obviously, we have to drive sales to our website. The co-events and pop-up retail activations are a huge introduction for us within the communities that we're specifically targeting. So that both comes with whether an event activation coinciding with large events within Los Angeles or New York Fashion Week, the Grammys, or retail specific activations within the community, as well as our players union, which is our main mode of communicating with all the folks that we've established relationships with. So moving on to what that looks like within the community itself. So specifically within the Soho Fashion District in New York, the Fairfax Fashion District in LA, where there is a lot of influence within the specific communities that overlap and cultures overlap within those areas. This is specifically how we want to introduce ourselves about 2 months prior to launch from both a product activation side as well as brand growth strategy, really focusing on our product, branding, and how they buy it. And so exactly how they buy it, commissionerculture.com. This is essentially our direct consumer facing site that our goals within this, because it's how we're interacting and engaging with the consumers, both from, product sales standpoint, as well as from, just a interactive players union with exclusive content, different things like that. It's really got to be emotional, and visual, and obviously super easy to use for everyone as well. So just jumping into the players union more specifically, in terms of like benefits and how we see that looking, but it's really to tie into the bigger brand of things. So joining the players union, little gifts that say sign your contract, and things of that nature, obvious inherent benefits to these folks as well, where they can register their purchase, which then tracks and goes back with that RFID technology that we were talking about earlier within the product side of things, along with other benefits. In terms of our growth strategy, so expanding a little bit more on that merchandising plan that we were talking about earlier on. So in our first year, really want to come out of the gate slow. We're looking at 4 SKUs total in the footwear space, really staggered. So like a January, April, August, and then December launch amongst those. That's assuming 25,000 max units per footwear SKU specifically. Then in year 2, we do teeter into adjacent segments, which really helps accelerate our growth and more so tie in collections and further stories within that merchandising plan. So it jumps up to 8 footwear SKUs and then 4 within apparel accessories categories. And then kind of massive growth into year 3 with 28 SKUs, looking at 16 footwear SKUs and then 12 apparel and accessory launches as well. So this kind of brings us to our financial projections and assumptions based off of those. So in the first and second year, our retail price for the footwear segment is assumed at $350, as consistent throughout the presentation. And then our landed FOB is $93.54. We do account for increases over years 2 and 3 in terms of, costs across the board. So that's assumed within the financial plan here. Assuming that we sell out, or actually when we sell out all 4 launches within the first year, that brings us to total revenue of $35 million, which then progresses over into year 2 and 3, assuming we sell out everything, $73 million, then $169 million. So from us, it looks like just, kind of a little opportunity at first. And, when we sit down and start looking at the financial plan and growth, it's a lot bigger of an opportunity than we expect. Benchmark, gross margin, operating margin, net profit are all, above the industry standard. And, based on our plan execution, we're pretty confident that we can get to where we need to be. This is just kind of a little look at our team as well. I know specifically we, I don't know with the pop-up if you can see us all while we're presenting as well, but Martin actually lives in Portland, Oregon now, and originally from the Bronx. Kevin Dunn in Las Vegas, Nevada now, originally from San Francisco, the Bay Area, I should say. And then Cale Brown from New Orleans, who kicked us off with the presentation, and myself originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota now, in Los Angeles, California. But that's just kind of a strength to us because we all have super diverse backgrounds, bring a lot of different perspectives to the table. And there also is that geographic diversity as well. So why we're here today, essentially, we are raising money to make Commissioner a reality. So based on like our cash flow assumptions within like the financial plan and to get to where we really need to be to deliver this, to consumers the way that we want to, we're looking to raise $5.5 million. In terms of either a combination of equity financing or a convertible note. But this is really essential for us to buy that first round of inventory, establish those relationships that we need to establish with suppliers and factories, so we can really hone in and get this product right out the gate, and then deliver it and take it to market right out of the gate perfectly as well. And then some startup costs associated with rent, the distribution center, general operating capital, and so we can bring on personnel to deliver on everything that we've essentially laid out here in this plan. So with that, we are all finished, and if there's any questions, we can